Hello everyone. So this is another video in at your service. Today we're going to see how to call a SOAP service from Cloud Integration, CPI, Integration Suite, whatever you want to call it, right? Um, so since we're covering basic topics, although I've also introduced in parallel, introducing slowly and steadily maybe some other side topics as well. I'd love to have your feedback, how you're finding it out. But I think not to lose our track, for people who are new to CPI, kind of a step by step process to learn. This is one of those basic topics that we all sometimes struggle from time to time, right? Not that it's difficult, but when you don't know something, right, it can be quite challenging, right? So let's start. So I'm going to call, I'm going to call SOAP service from SAP CPI or Cloud Integration, using a SOAP receiver adapter, using a request reply step in between, right? Since it's a synchronous service. And for today's example, I'm going to use this free service available to you all. I'm going to leave the link down in the description box and for my blog, of course, in the blog detail text as well. This is a calculator service. Um, so here, if you see, when I've put down this URL on my browser, I got this WSDL, right? And typically for a SOAP service, you'll see such WSDLs. And um, for those of you who have not used SOAP service before, it's typically a list of some operations within one service, web service. And for all of these services, there is one common URL which you'll usually find towards the end of the service. For example, in this case, it is this. So typically, what you should do at the start is first to test out your service, right? Before even we begin our development on CPI, it's important for us to find out, let's say in your project, you got a web service that you need to call. It's important, even to begin, before beginning, right, to test out that service. The reason is, let's say there is some problem with the service, or it's the third party is still developing it, or there's an open bug, right? So before starting your work, if you give them the feedback, that gives us everyone sufficient time and saves a lot of precious time on your tight deadlines, right? So SOAP UI is the best place to test a SOAP service. And for REST-based service or any other services, I find Postman is the best tool. So since this is a SOAP service, I'm going to use SOAP UI. As you can see, I've already created a project, but let me start afresh just for everyone. So this WSDL, I had saved it as in my local computer, um, as calculator.visual, right? You just need to right click and save. And then let me import this WSDL in the SOAP UI project. Okay. So CC, where are you? Okay, it's in the downloads. I'm sorry. Yep, there we go. So this helps create requests, create sample requests for all operations, though we don't really need all operations for today's demo, but yeah, doesn't cost a penny, so why not? All right, so this is our project, auto created by SOAP UI. And then I tested add operation, right? Just by putting 4 and 5. So send it, you get 9 as a result. So, yep, the service is working all good. So, the next step is to head to CPI. All right. I'm not going to repeat some steps which is just create your package, create a project, right? Sorry, create your package and create your iFlow, and then this is typically what you get. Now, I'm going to have the scenario as HTTPS endpoint, endpoint as a start and SOAP as a receiver. So let me connect my sender to my start step, and then you have this HTTPS, and then here what's essential is that I provide an endpoint. So I'm going to call it as demo soap service. Okay, let me uncheck this. I don't need this. Then I need a request reply. Okay, so external call and then request reply. Here you go. Okay, call service. Then let me bring my receiver to here. And now I'm going to use SOAP. And SOAP 1.x is what most services are based on. I haven't find RM so far, but it'll be interesting to work on that as well. Okay, so here we already have the URL either from what I showed you on this on the WSDL file or WSDL page, or from here, right? So let me paste the address here. So calculator.asmx, then proxy type is internet, and URL to WSDL. I'm going to select a WSDL from my local computer because based on what SAP recommends is local file is better. Otherwise, it'll always call the URL while loading the iFlow, right? Honestly, I'm not tested that fact, but I find for one more reason, choosing the WSDL is a better option because if you use message mapping, then there also it becomes since it's already loaded, it becomes handy to choose the operations from there. Okay, so when you choose that, you will see the service, the endpoint, the operation name, and yeah, it already picked up based on your selection, right? So authentication in this case is none. The does not demand an authentication. So yeah, and I need to introduce one more step, which is the mapping. Okay. Okay. So let me create a message mapping here. So this is called mm underscore calc add operation. Okay. All right. So here, so the WSDL is already there. So I can, you know, and just choose my operation here. Same for the target. I'm going to use exactly the same there. It's just a point to point mapping unless I have some step to perform here, which in this case is no. Okay. And all right, let me just quickly see if the this is fine. So just testing it out. Um, so mm, XML. So remember, for your message mapping, the test payload that we create should be XML. That's the definition. That's a language that the message mapping understands, XML or JSON. I'm going to use XML here. So yeah, it populated all right. Let me see. Okay. Cannot produce target element add queue has not enough values in the context. Okay, this is a usual error that I often get, right? So I'm gonna see that error one more time. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video so that I can do this troubleshooting. Okay, so it took a while to figure it out. Sorry about that. That's how these soap services are. They're old but not dead, I guess. All right. So jokes apart, the issue was quite simple and short, but it was not obvious. Some of the errors I don't really like, and that's especially with the SAP. I feel sometimes the messages are misleading, right? It just said that it is unable to produce a target element, but rest is for you to figure it out. Okay, so as the error said, that unable to produce a target element ns zero add. See, notice the so the way I created the sample payload was that I used the soap created sample request, right. The issue with this is the when you import it in here, uh, see how it takes ns0 instead, right? Here in this payload it is tem, and then that's the prefix for the namespace, if I could say that, right? So but like here, right? So but here it's taking it as ns0. All right. So that's where the mismatch was, and it was though when I did simulate and I read the file, if I pick up my old test file, it will show that it has read the file well and it has populated the source fields. But that's deceiving actually, because if you see here and not just the target, let's look at the source. It will show that it is not able to read like it's not able to read the file. It's showing you null values, right? So that's where the problem is. All right, see null here. So what was the fix? Fix was pretty simple. I use the ns0 namespace, and where is my payload? Let me show you the payload. Open and oh man, where you are? Come on, man, don't do this to me. Sometimes this is okay. Let me show you in Postman, right? So this is the sample payload is right. So XML namespace is NS0, and then rest is NS0. There's no body and other things, right? So quite simplified there, right? So yeah, so that's a fix. All right, so the mapping is now complete, working. Let's fire off the service, right? Inputs I'll be providing through Postman, and that's how we're expecting some results out of it. Okay, so 12. Let me wipe it out just for, or let me do one thing. Let me change these. So let's add 2000 plus 9999. Okay, right. So there you are. That's the target. So it's pretty simple, huh? But there was a glitch in between. Sorry about that. So just to do a recap, in this demo, we looked at how you can call a SOAP service. I use the sender as HTTPS so that I can could call the service from my Postman. Inputs were supplied through the Postman payload. Um, this is a message mapping so that the source payload can get translated into exact same operation format of the target, right? Um, and finally, it calls the SOAP service via request reply. Request reply will request a reply also, so it's a synchronous call, and that's how you get the result. Let's, as a wind up, I'd like to show you the trace of it. Okay, I had already enabled the trace. So let's look at how the message gets translation. So this was here source message to begin with, right? The same source message. Oh no, this is the result. How come it is showing me the result before? Okay. Come on, man. All right. So I don't know why this is doing a sort of a mess up. It's showing me the response payload in the beginning. Right. That's weird, but that's fine. Okay. So, not to get deceived by that. So, message mapping source, you have this payload. Oh no, I am so sorry, guys. I think this is my older test. 1928 seems like the latest one, but why is the payload old? Okay, now I'm going to do it the right way. So let's do one more time. Let me see. Yeah, the trace is off. Sorry, guys, it got turned off. Yeah, there you go. And let me now do it one more time. Let's look at the trace now. Okay. Yep. So I don't know why it doing that to start with. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay, maybe it's a return payload. Yeah, I think it's the return payload in the response. That's why it has overwritten the original body. Yeah, feel free to correct me, guys. But that's what I see here. Okay, here latest payload before the message mapping, after the message mapping is also the same, right, as expected again. So after the call, there you are. You have your ad result. Yeah. All right. Pretty simple. Um, Drop down your comments in the response below if you want to see some variations of this. Would definitely love to address those based on how it goes. Thank you all. It was happy serving you. Thank you.